Welcome to the MOOC course of Introduction to Sociology 2. Today's topic is Durkheim's idea of functionalism. So, you all have got an idea of what functionalism is. We have learnt about it and we have seen how important Emile Durkheim's role in functionalist theory is. So, today we will delve a little deeper and see what he argues. Emile Durkheim was born in 1858, and as you know, he was a French sociologist. The major works are on the division of labor, work on suicide, and work on religion. He focused on the problems of order, as all the other functionalists, and positive effects of social institutions, in terms of how they functionally contribute to the needs. He is known as the father of sociology. He established a separate department of sociology at the University of Bordeaux. He argued that social phenomena and institutions, all these which he called social facts, constitute an independent reality, whether people believe in it or not, whether before people are born, after someone dies, the facts which are social remain a reality, not depending on the members of the society. He developed a specific methodology combining empirical research as well as sociological theory. So it was not only armchair research for Durkheim. A little bit into the history of Emile Durkheim. He was born into a Jewish family. He was an excellent student and he actually wanted really to get into the highly competitive École Normale Supérieure in Paris. And he, being a strong candidate, he did succeed in getting through. Durkheim looked to science, and in particular to social science, and to educational reform as the means to avoid anomie, to avoid normlessness. 1887, he was appointed as a lecturer at the University of Bordeaux. Subsequently, he became a professor of social philosophy, and this continued till 1902. He then moved to the University of Paris. He perceived around him the absence of social norms which threatened the equilibrium of the society. So often he found that there was anomie, normlessness around him, which he wanted to kind of take a look and try to solve. Durkheim conceptualized the idea of social facts. What were these social facts? Durkheim says everything, thinking, feeling, acting, everything in the society are social facts. Social facts are external to the individual. It does not depend on the individual's perception. It is outside the individual. Hence, they are a reality in themselves. They are sui generis and they are coercive. How are they coercive? Why are they constraints on the individual? Because they kind of shape the individual's thoughts and behavior. So they dictate what to do. Okay? So he said everything in the society was social facts. Even before we were born, even after we die. It does not depend on us. Now we come to the theories that we were talking about, propounded by Emile Durkheim. Three major theories I would be talking about over here. 1893, he started with his wonderful work on the division of labor in society. 1897, he worked on suicide, a study in sociology. And 1912, he worked on the elementary forms of religious life. Now, what was religion to Durkheim? As you know, he worked on his book in 1912, The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, he worked on the totemic system in Australia. What is totem? Totems were symbols, which were generally symbols of animals and plants, which were used as flags to differentiate between one clan from the other. So, totems served the society, helped the society, and religion's primary function was, hence, to maintain the social order. He said, religion is a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, that is, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite in one single moral community called a church, all those who adhere to them. I will come to the details of sacred and profane. This was the definition given by Durkheim about religion. He argued that religion provides social cohesion and social control to maintain the social solidarity through collective consciousness. So, for example, you have a bad kind of relationship with your neighbor. Now, suppose there is a religious festival happening in your residential area. So, you both have arrived there. Will you behave in a very bad way, start quarreling, start a conflict? You will not. Because it's a religious kind of festival happening, which is actually trying to create a solidarity between the people who have arrived there. So, we see that the main function is that worship, the puja that is going on, or, the entire religious part. However, the latent function that is extremely important is how it brings together the members of the society. Talking about religion, we have to differentiate between sacred and profane, as Durkheim did. He said that all the societies were divided basically into two categories, sacred and profane. Now, what were the sacred? The sacred were things that were not used in our daily mundane lives. They are prohibited to be used in our utilitarian daily purposes. What is profane? The other things which are used in our daily routine, for example, this laptop, this pen stand, all these are profane. Now, having known what is the sacred and what is the profane, we obviously do understand that religion falls into the sacred space, a pure space. Always the religious space is separated. It's kept out of the daily requirements and utilities. However, sacred and profane, these concepts are extremely relative. For example, I take a stone and I know that this stone is profane. Now, 2 days later, my mother comes and starts worshipping this stone as a deity, as a god. What happens? Immediately that particular stone becomes sacred. Then you start having all the kinds of taboos. Don't touch it when you have not bathed. Don't kick on it and all these sorts. Keep it separate from the daily item needs. So, what happens is, it is relative to the usage, sacred and profane. What Durkheim argues is that religion is the collective practice of differentiating and maintaining space between the sacred and the profane, typically done through the rituals. Why is he saying collective practice? Because if I start worshipping a pen from today, it does not become a religion. It is a religion only when a number of members of the society start worshipping that pen. So, it is a collective kind of activity. Durkheim believed that to understand the role of religion in society, what is its contribution to the social whole, we should understand the relationship between the sacred symbols and what they represent. We should understand that. So, for example, someone who doesn't know that my mother has been worshipping or a group has been worshipping that stone as a sacred god, they will not understand what that profane stone is representing. So, the relationship between that symbol, sacred symbol, and what it represents need to be learned carefully. Here comes, when we are talking about sacred, obviously, prohibitions. Don't do this, don't touch that, don't eat before you, do the puja. All these do's and don'ts and prohibitions come into being. Now, Durkheim studied totemism. What is totemism? It is one of the earliest and simplest form of religious practice. It is clan-based. So, in very simple clan-based societies, we find this totemism. He studied the Australian Aborigines mainly. Each clan, as I said, had a totem, typically an animal or a plant, which represented by drawings of carving wood or stone. This served to distinguish the clan from all other clans. Now, Durkheim argued that by worshipping this totem, this symbol, we are, or the clan members are actually worshipping the society. Because that particular symbol represents a particular clan which is part of a society. So, in actuality, you are worshipping the society. So, he repeats and, he stresses on the fact that society is more important than the individual. This is a very essential premise in a functionalist theory, as individuals are dependent on society. Now, clan is too complex a thing for people to understand, and it's, abstract. You can't really point out and say, this is a clan. So, the religious symbol representing a clan becomes easier. It becomes easier to conceptualize as something to worship. So, basically, you're worshipping the clan or the society, but you're using a particular symbol which makes it simpler to worship. So what happens is these prohibitions that are associated with these kind of worshipping, these kinds of totems, these kind of rituals, all of them are known as taboos. They are not accepted. They are prohibited by that particular society. So you can see the different kinds of totems that can be used. Here we come to the concept of collective consciousness. Obviously, consciousness, so it is a non-material social fact. It's not something that we can touch. People's norms, beliefs and values make up the collective consciousness of the society. It is a shared way of understanding and behaving in the world. It binds the individuals together and creates social integration. The theory of collective consciousness explains why certain values, traditions, and beliefs are constant across a society. In primitive societies, there is a reliance on religion, ritual, and shared beliefs to hold the community together. So religion brought people together, held the people together. Durkheim called this consciousness as he relates it to mechanical solidarity. We'll get to the details once we start talking about his theory on division of labor. For Durkheim, it was this collective conscience plus common moral bonds between the individuals. It provided the initial foundation for the social solidarity, social integration. Next, we come to his theory of division of labor. 1893, his first major work on division of labor was published, and he introduced the concept of anomie, or the breakdown of the influence of social norms on individuals within a society. He introduced this concept in this theory. So he said that there is a difference between the developing and the advanced civilizations and how they perceive social solidarity. It is different in the developing and the advanced nations. Another focus was how each type of society defines the role of law in resolving the breaks in that social solidarity. There are obviously not everywhere it is, perfect social solidarity, even though the functionalists would argue so. There are breaks. Now, he talks about two kinds of social solidarity. One is mechanical solidarity and the other is organic solidarity. Mechanical solidarity is what? From the word mechanical, we can understand it is machine-like. So, in pre-industrial societies, what happened was the collective consciousness bound people together, yes, but all of the people, all of the members of that society were doing the same work. All of them were doing everything. Now, when there was a change, when during this industrial societies or in advanced societies, what happened was there was organic solidarity. Solidarity became organic. So, like an organism, where all the parts of the whole had specific functions, so their contribution would make a smooth functioning of the entire society, just like a body. So, specialization came into the whole schema of things. So, Durkheim in his theory keeps coming back and emphasizing on solidarity. He says the more primitive a society, the more it is characterized by mechanical solidarity and sameness. For example, in the agrarian societies, people did the same kind of work. So if one person did, say, farming, all of them did actually farming or fishery or something. So there was sameness in labor, which got converted later with the complexity of societies. For Durkheim, the laws of a society are the most visible symbol of social solidarity and the organization of social life in its most precise and stable form. Now, law, according to Durkheim, is like the nervous system. So, what nervous system does to our body is it manages all the other body parts to function in a way together in a synchronized form. Similarly, Durkheim says that the legal system does the same thing for the society. It controls all the parts of the society so that they can work together in tandem successfully. Two types of laws corresponding to types of social solidarity. One is moral, which is repressive law, and one is organic, which is restitutive law. However, Herbert Spencer, he said that, industrial solidarity is spontaneous. There is no need for a coercive body to produce or maintain the solidarity. It comes naturally. And social harmony is established by itself. However, as we do understand that, Durkheim strongly disagreed to this argument of Spencer. Durkheim, I've already said, talked about anomie. This term was first introduced in his study of suicide. One type of suicide, anomic suicide, he argued stemmed from the collapse of the social standards which were required for regulating the actions. As it collapsed, normlessness prevailed and there was anomic suicide. Anomie is a condition of uncertainty. What does it result from? It results from a breakdown of the standards and values or from a lack of purpose or ideals. Now, talking of suicide, where he introduced his concept of anomie, Let us see what he argued in his work of suicide. Suicide is obviously death because of a change in the victim's behavior, which he knows the result of. It's killing of self. According to Durkheim, social integration is also one of the reasons of Durkheim. We will see how. Durkheim's work on suicide analyzed how the suicide rates at that time differed across religions. He compared the Protestants and the Catholics and found that there was a lower rate of suicide among the Catholics, and he kind of argued that the Catholics had stronger social control than the Protestants, which, restricted the number of suicides from rising. Suicide, a study of sociology, a very important work of Durkheim, in 1897, talked about the 4 types of suicide. So, firstly, Durkheim says that when an individual is not really attached, not feeling integrated to the society, he does not belong, he's not feeling that I needed in this society, then egoistic suicide occurs. Next, he says, however, just the opposite. So if there is very high social integration, I'm so attached to the society that society is more important to me than myself, than my individual self. So martyrs or suicide bombers who give up their individual lives for the nation, for the society. This kind of suicide is called altruistic suicide. Next, he comes to fatalistic suicide. Here, there is extremely high social control in the society. There are too many bindings, too many do's and don'ts and restrictions in a society. People feel suffocated and then they might commit suicide. Just the opposite is very low social control or anomie in the society, normlessness in the society. That also confuses the individuals. And then out of that frustration, out of that situation, they commit suicide. So these were the 4 types of suicide that Durkheim identified and analyzed. So summing up, Durkheim developed the theories of social structure that included functionalism, division of labor, and anomie, mainly. These theories were based on the ideas of social facts or societal norms, values, and structures. This was the common running thread amongst all his theories. Like other functionalists, he concentrated on the problem of order, how to maintain order, and the positive effects of social institutions in terms of what? In terms of their functionally necessary contributions. In wrapping up, I again remind you that Durkheim believes that the society shapes the individual does not shape the society. So Durkheim argues society has a reality independent of the members of the society. Whether you exist or not, the society is there, who are constrained by social facts, by ways of acting, thinking, and feeling, which are external to the individual, outside the individual, and hence coercive. This we discussed during discussing social facts. Social facts include beliefs, moral codes, and basic norms and values which are passed from generation to generation. And it is shared by all the members of the society. Common beliefs and sentiments of individuals shape his or her consciousness. So basically, this means society shapes the individual. Next, again, I remind you one more thing that we have discussed all through Durkheim: social solidarity, socialization, and anomie. Durkheim argued that extreme freedom was bad for the individual. The individuals of the society suffered from a sense of uncertainty and confusion about their position or their role in the society, a condition Durkheim called anomie. Durkheim argued that societies needed to create a sense of social solidarity, ensuring individuals feel as if they are part of the larger society, as if they belong there, abiding by the standards of acceptable behavior. Earlier, solidarity was maintained mainly by family and religion. But 20th century Europe saw the fading away of religion, and so modern societies, Durkheim thought, faced a crisis of anomie, crisis of normlessness. Who is going to bring the social solidarity? He hypothesized that new institutions like schools, workplaces, and voluntary organizations would eventually provide the social glue that was earlier provided by the institutions like family and religion. So people will start feeling as if they belong. For most functionalists like Durkheim, socialization, the teaching of shared norms and values through these institutions, which helped in strengthening the social solidarity. Finally, coming to certain criticisms that Durkheim had to face about his theories, some anthropologists argued that when Durkheim says that religion is the worship of society, he actually overstated the view. It was kind of an extremist stand. They also emphasize that, he was also extremist in the sense that he was limiting sociology to the study of social facts. He said everything are social facts and we need to study them through those social facts. So that was a limiting kind of activity. Durkheim's views are less relevant to modern social situations with numerous subcultures, which has a variety, which is heterogeneous. So it does not really apply there. So these were the kind of criticisms that came against Durkheim's theories. And that is more or less an outline about Émile Durkheim and his theories. Thank you, students.